Hello, my name is Mariana. This is Legal Aspects of International Trade and Enterprise. We are going to introduce the case number 90 from ICJ, Oil Platforms, Islamic Republic versus United States of America. To be able to understand the background of this case, is important to analyze and review the history between the UK and Iran, where the UK has exploited Iranian oil for almost 60 years, and during the Cold War, how America injected economic aid into Iran to be able to nationalize the oil, fighting against the Sovietics. Another very important case is Iraq versus Iran. So 8 years of war with thousands of deaths end up on a disruption of international oil, where the powers US and Russia got it involved and end up fighting against Iran. So it's important to analyze this background in order to understand how the US has gave Iran economic aid, and now they are fighting against each other. So Shami is going to analyze the case for us.
Thank you, Mariana. Now I'm going to discuss about the case dispute. Here, Iran filed a case to the ICJ against United States. Iran alleged that United States used several warships during October 1987 to 1988, and they destroyed 3 offshore oil-producing complexes. And now the legal issues presented. Here, the first one is breach the treaty. In 1955, both countries signed the Treaty of MAT, Economic Relations and Consular Rights. And Iran alleged that US breached that treaty. By destroying Iranian oil platforms, Iran argued that US violated the freedom of commerce. But the third one is counterclaim by USA. The US counterclaim argued that Iran breached the treaty's provision on freedom of commerce and the freedom of navigation by attacking on naval vessels and commercial vessels in the Persian Gulf. The US also argued that the rights of self-defense in both allegations. That's all from my part. Now Jafrida will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Shami. My part deals with the individual parties' arguments. First up is Iran's argument. Iran accused USA of having destroyed many of its oil productions at the Persian Gulf during 1980s. And the first attack took place in 1987, destroying one of its major oil production, which caused hindrance and interrupted its operation for several years. And Iran also claimed that the second attack took place in April 1988, which actually destroyed one of its major offshore oil production complex and hindering the operation for several years. The attack against Iranian naval forces also led to the destruction of Iranian frigates and other ships. In response to this, US also presented their arguments, and the first up is USA claimed to have acted in self-defense in both of the occasions. And it said that in 1987, a missile was launched by Iran, which destroyed its ships and also injured many of its crew members. And also, US warship was struck by a mine, and the US claimed that the mine was laid by Iran. So next up is the tribunal's decision. And first up is Iran's accusation. So the tribunal looked into the matter and found out that during the attack, the oil platforms of Iran were under repair and not in operation, which actually meant that there was no trade in crude oil between the two countries. So which essentially meant that US had not actually breached the treaty which promised and protected the freedom of commerce. So Iran's claim for reparation was rejected. Next up was verdict on USA's accusation. The court found out that USA's claim that Iran had damaged its vessels in the Persian Gulf was baseless because of the fact that none of the ships was engaged in commerce and navigation. And the court also dismissed the generic claim by US, which said that Iran had made the Persian Gulf unsafe for shipping. So as a result, USA's appeal for reparation was also rejected. Thank you. That's all for my part. And now Mariana will continue. Thanks.
Thank you, Jafrida. So the significance of this case in international law is based on a very simple word that is self-defense, how a nation can justify acts of aggressions with just a simple word as saying that they were acting in self-defense. So to understand this, we have to pay attention to two different words. One is necessity and the other one is proportionality. They were described in the Geneva Convention and how they are related with self-defense. What was the need of that nation, or what was the proportionality of the act that they committed? Okay, so related cases with the Iran versus the US could be in 2004, where there was a construction of a wall in the Palestinian territory, and how the ICJ in this case said that the self-defense was not an option for this action, that there was no justification. And another important case is September 11 in America, the World Trade Center, where again, how two nations like Afghanistan and the US are fighting in self-defense, and how can be that justified. So this case is important in the presence of these two words, necessity and proportionality, where this self-defense, the ICJ is not accepting this as an excuse of committing certain actions. So in conclusion, we have to pay attention to how this self-defense can create collateral damage. And even if a nation feels threatened, self-defense is not a justification. So thank you so much for listening to us today.